A pleasant morning to each and everyone, especially to you, Ma'am Vanessa. Right here in front of you, presenting my presentation all about research process. So there are a variety of approaches in research in any field and investigation, irrespective of whether it is applied research or basic research. Each particular study will be unique in some ways because of the particular time, settings, environment, and place which it is being undertaken. Nevertheless, all researchers endeavor share a common goals of furthering our understandings of the problems, and thus all traverse through certain basic stages, forming a process called research process. An understanding of the research process is necessary to effectively carry out research and sequencing the stages inherited in the process. Research then is a system of interdependent related stages. Violation of this sequence can cause irreparable harm to the study. Choosing the best alternative in terms of time, constraints, money, and human resources in our research design is our primary goals. So we have steps in the research process. So first is identifying the problems. So well-identified problems will lead the researchers to accomplish all important phases of the research process, starting from setting objectives to the selections of the research methodology. Intuitively researchable problems are those who have possibility through verifications, investigations, which can be effective through analysis and collections of data, while the non-research problems do not need to go through this process. Research need to be identified both are non-research problems or research problems. So a non-research problem is one that does not require any research to arrive at a solution. Intuitively, a non-researchable problem consists of vague details and cannot be resolved through research. It is a managerial or built-in problems that may be solved at the administrative or management level. To answer any questions raised in a non-research settings is almost always obvious. So we have examples here is the outbreak of cholera, uh, flowing of a severe flood. It is a common phenomenon in any communities. The reason is known, thus it does not require any research. So research problems, in contrast to non-research problems, is a primary concern to our researchers. A research problems is perceived difficultly, a feeling of discomfort, or any discrepancy between the common belief and reality. As noted by Fisher, 1993, a problem will qualify as a potential research problem when the following three conditions exist. First, there should be a perceived discrepancy between what it is and what it should have been. Second, a questions about why the discrepancy exists. Third, there should be at least two possible answers or solutions to the questions or problems. Once we have chosen a research problems, a few most related steps are required to be followed before a decision is taken to undertake the research study. This includes among the following. So we have statement of the problem, justifying the problems, analyzing the problems. We have statement of the problems. A well-defined statement of the problem will lead the researchers to formulate the research objectives to understand the background of the study and to choose a proper research methodology. It enables the researchers to systematically point out why the proposed research of the problem should be undertaken and what he hopes to achieve with the findings of the study. Justifying the problems. In justifying the problems, we ask such questions as to why the problems of the study is important. How large and widespread is the problem? Can others be convinced about the importance of the problems and the like? Next is analyzing the problems. As a first step of analyzing the problems, critical attention should be given to accommodate the viewpoints of the managers, users, and the researchers to the problem through thread-rake discussions. The next step is to identify the factors that have been contributed to the perceived problems. The exploratory study entails a few basic strategies in gaining insights into the problem. It is accomplished through such efforts such as pilot survey, case studies, focus group interview, experience survey. The step 2, which is reviewing the literature. A review of relevant literature is an integral part of the research process. It enables the researchers to formulate his problems in terms of the specific aspects of the general area of his interest and that has not been for a research. Such a review not only provides him exposure to a larger body of knowledge, but also equips him in enhanced knowledge to efficiently follow the research process. Through a proper review of the literature, the researchers may develop a coherence between the result of his study and those of others. So, reviewing literatures helps to avoid duplications of the work that has been done in the recent past. Next, it helps the researchers to find out what others have learned and reported on the problems. It helps the researchers to become familiar with the types of methodology followed by others. Also, it helps the researchers to understand what concepts and theories are relevant to his area of investigations. Reviewing literatures also helps the researchers to understand if there are any significant controversies, contradictions, and inconsistencies in the findings. Also, it helps to allow the researchers to understand if there are any unanswered research questions. It helps also to the researchers to develop any analytical framework. And also, it helps the researchers to consider in conclusion of variables in his research that he might not otherwise have thought about. We have step 3, setting research questions, objectives, and hypotheses. So an objective will precisely say that should be researched to delineate the type of information that should be collected and provide a framework for the scope of the study. The best expressions of the research objective is a well-formulated, testable research hypothesis. We have step 4, choosing the study design. The research design is a blueprint or frameworks for fulfilling objectives and answering research questions. It is a master plan specifying the methods and procedures for collecting and processing and even analyzing the collected data. So there are 4 basic research designs that researchers can use to conduct his or her study. So we have first is survey, second an experiment, third is secondary data study, and lastly is observational study. So the type of research design to be chosen from among the above 4 designs depends primarily on 4 factors. We have the type of the problem, the objectives of the study, the existing state of knowledge about the problem that is being studied, and lastly, the resources available for the study. So we have step 5, deciding on the samples design. Sampling is an important and separate step in the research process. The basic idea of sampling is that it involves any procedures that uses relatively small numbers of items or portions, sometimes called samples, and a universe called population, to conclude in the whole populations. So we have sample designs refers to the methods to be followed in selecting a sample from the population and estimating technique. Vice versa, so the formula for computing the sample statistics. These methods are basically the 2 types, probability samplings and non-probability samplings. So probability samplings ensures that every unit a non-zero probabilities of selection within the target populations. The most widely used probability sampling methods are simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling. So they have been classified by their representation basis and unit selection techniques. 2 other variations of the sampling designs that are in great uses are multi-stage samplings and probability proportional to size samplings. We have step 6, collecting data. So the approach selected depends on the objectives of the study, the research design, the availability of time, money, and personnel. The most common means for collecting quantitative data is through structured interview. So other means of data collections include the use of secondary sources, such as census, vital registrations, records, official documents, and previous surveys. So qualitative data are collected mainly through in-depth interviews, focus group discussions, and observational studies. Step 7, processing and analyzing data. Data processing generally begins with the editing and coding of data. Data are edited to ensure consistency across respondents and to locate missions, if any. So data analysis usually involves reducing accumulated data to a manageable size, developing summaries, searching for patterns, and applying statistical techniques for understanding and interpreting the findings in the light of the research questions. The technique to be used in analyzing data may be ranged from simple graphical technique to very complex multivariate analysis depending on the objects of the study, research design employed, and the nature of the data collected. We have step 8, the last, writing the report, developing research proposal, writing report, and disseminating and utilizing the results. So a research proposal is a work plan, a prospectus outline, an offer, a statement of intent, or commitment from any individual, researchers, or an organization to produce a product or render a service to potential client or sponsors. So the proposal tells us what, how, where, and to whom it will be done. It must also show the benefits of doing it. It also includes an explanation of the purpose of the study or a definition of the problems. So the end goal of a scientific study is to interpret the results and draw conclusions. So although researchers are often not themselves in a position to implement a plan for utilizing research findings, they can contribute to the process by including the research report, a few recommendations regarding how the results of the study could be utilized for policy and formulations of the program's inventions. To end this, it is necessary to prepare a report and transmit the findings and recommendations to administrators, policymakers, and program managers for the intended purpose of making decisions. Many interesting studies have been conducted by the researchers without having any effect in actual settings. Ideally, the concluding steps of a scientific study is to plan for its utilization for the real world. That's all. Thank you.